a lot of DMs, and we know one. They treat it as it's DM versus players, and I think that it's players versus world, and I'm just here to tell you what stuff looks like when you do things.
To facilitate us interacting with the world.
Yeah, yeah, that's all it is. Like I am the intermediary. That's all I am. I'm not
So
trying to actively kill anyone. I'm not trying to do this. If you guys bite off more than you can chew, you might die. But
DM versus, so I will say DM versus player does come into play when you are in combat. As we got older, nerds became, like it started out where like there was guys with thick rimmed glasses that had six packs. Cool, nerds are getting cool, right? Like that's just a picture, but like that was like mid to like 2000s.
That started out with like chefs though, with Gordon Ramsay, and just get like the hot boy chef.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Where like they would take a hot person and put them in like glasses, or they'd give them an Xbox controller, and then bam, nerds are cool. But like so that's kind of how it started. And then like for me, one of like the big defining features for like specifically D&D on the topic of what Cody was just talking about was the show Stranger Things. So
oh yeah,
I was somebody who played D&D like a little earlier than Cody. So like I got into it in college, and that was before Stranger Things came out. And I played like I wasn't like really into it, but I played relatively frequently. Like it was a good time. And then Stranger Things came out. Everyone loved that show. Like nerds, jocks, scene kids, the theater nerds, parents. Like I watched the first season with mom and dad at some point. Yeah, mom and dad watched the first season with me. I rewatched it with them, and they loved it.
It's too scary.
But then after that, like that show came out when I was working at U of M, and after that show came out, I had people asking me about D&D because like they saw them playing it on the show. It seemed cool, like, and then all of a sudden these kid nerds, what everyone thinks are cool, now all of a sudden nerds are cool, and that was for me. I thought a big turning point for D&D. Where like now all of a sudden I have people that I work with that are like, hey Taylor, will you DM a campaign for us? And I'm like, yeah, like what made you want to try it? Like, well, I don't know, it seems interesting, and it just happened to be around the time that Stranger Things first came out. So I'm like, this is really interesting that like there's a little bit of Hollywood influence in this.
oh there absolutely is.
Hey, really quick, Cody, can you turn your mic up a little bit?
It's right there.
Okay,
There it
sweet.
Is that better?
Yeah, kind of. But go ahead.
So the thing about D&D is I like to say there's three things that kind of led to the recent boom in popularity that D&D has experienced. First, 5e came out. A fifth edition is way more accessible than any previous edition. It's much
less punishing.
Less punishing, and it's more fun to your casual players, whereas like the more hardcore players can stay in 3.5, or Pathfinder. But so there's fifth edition came out, okay, and you had Stranger Things, which was an incredibly popular show that started out with nerds in their basement playing D&D,
So at one point in time, that was considered like that was not looked at as positive.
No, not at all, and that's we can explore that for sure. But the third thing is it's maybe a little deeper into the D&D culture, but Critical Role absolutely blew up. And I know that you guys don't necessarily follow it, but
I respect it.
It's such a commitment at this point.
It really is. But just the fact that these voice actors, these well-known like Hollywood people, are televising the fact that they are super nerds sitting around a table playing D&D, and then they turned it into this big thing, and now everybody wants to be Matt Mercer, or everybody wants to be Laura Bailey or Liam O'Brien and play D&D and have these cool role-playing moments, and it's really cool. And it's funny because all of these things happened, right? Like I had heard about the new D&D release because I read the things. And so we have 5th edition coming out, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And believe it or not, I actually watched Stranger Things, the first season. So
I believe it.
Oh, that's D&D, and then like that made me look up like what the Demogorgon really was, because I knew it wasn't whatever the thing on the show was, and I was like, oh, whoa, dang, that's sweet. Well, you know where you find the Demogorgon? In the
Monster Manual.
So, I'm looking through all these other monsters. I'm like, wait. And then, right around this time, some guys at work were like, hey, we were thinking about putting a D&D group together. I know you're kind of a nerd. Would you like, yes. Yes, I would.
I would love it. And that's
And
where I
now-
got involved.
I'd
And
like
now,
to-
like, I love it. Like, I love to DM. I love to write a world. Like, this first campaign I'm running is homebrew. Like, I'm just like, sweet. Here's the setting. Here's all the things. Play. And then, like, on the other hand, when our other guy DMs, I love role. I love role playing.
You're good at it.
But yeah, the deep South accent is an easy fallback for me. But
I'll just go
So-
back to Borat.
D&D became really like a. I'd like to think I had a little bit of an influence in getting Cody at least like kind of like not like
Absolutely,
maybe sparking
yeah.
his interest in D&D, but like fueling the fire that
Absolutely,
is his
because
passion for Dungeons and Dragons.
because I think that I mentioned it to you because I knew that you played, and you were like,
Let's talk about it.
Do you have a second? Because I have some things, and like, it plays to so many different people's personalities.
does.
So you've got like your Codys, you got your story writers, your role players, like your like outside of D&D, Cody expresses like very little to no emotion. Like inside the world of D&D, he is the entire spectrum of emotions. It's all fake, because Cody
Right.
doesn't actually have emotions in real life.
But he's seen
like,
other people
again,
do them.
yeah, so he's like, oh, I saw someone cry once, and then he's really good at it, but he doesn't actually cry. So, but then you have people like me, who the way I play games is a little different in terms of like, my
got
emotions
you.
play into it.
I got
What?
you. The perfect example of how Taylor plays D&D. His latest creation was Holloway Jackson of the Jackson 3.
Holloway Jackson of the Jackson 3, baby.
Great character.
Yeah, he was. I can't remember what his race was, but he was a
Tiefling bard, because you had the swoopy horn for hair.
Yes. I wasn't no bard. I was a blade
Sword
singing
dancer.
wizard.
Blade singer, that's right.
Yes,
Sword
from
dancer. What am I doing? Anyway.
from Xanathars, I think. But like so, my emotions play a huge part into D&D, and it like fuels me to play it because like I went on vacation with some friends to a cabin, and we spent an entire day playing D&D, where I made a whole like one shot that we played from like 8 a.m. until 9 p.m. It was awesome.
Phenomenal.
The reason we stopped playing was because I killed one of their characters. And I had to stop. Well, so my friend who died had to stop because she couldn't play anymore. But I don't think I could have continued on. One time, one of the people in our party when I was a player, we were playing Savage Worlds Deadlands Reloaded.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
one of our party members died. And we had to stop playing. I can't handle it. Like, and the first D&D character I ever made, Denzig the Chicken Chaser, a rogue gnome, basic build. He was an assassin, then I made him into a arcane trickster at one point. Like, he is now a staple in everything I do if I DM. He is in everything. So my emotions played a huge part in this game, to where like if I ever played a game where Denzig died, I'd probably stop playing D&D. Like I'd have to take a substantial break because I get so attached to the characters in the story. Like, I don't have the same storytelling capabilities that Cody does. Maybe I'm not as good as role playing as Cody does, but man, you cannot blame me for being into it. Oh baby. But I get so into it.
You get so into it. Also, challenge accepted.
Yeah. Don't kill me.
Don't bring Denzig into one of his campaigns.
I don't think I'm going to. I dare not.
I'm
God.
gonna be honest. I would be sad, but I would be okay if the Dark Magician died. Pegasus, my Yu-Gi-Oh
would
based
be-
character, Druid.
I would your Yu-Gi-Oh based character. I think I would be more upset than you because his backstory was Corey going, here, write his backstory.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not super creative.
And you know what I said? All right.
It's actually kind of funny that it's funny that you say that because you made his backstory, and I'm pretty I didn't do it, but I pretty much was a big part in making the stats of his character. Remember, Corey? We were at the dining table at Mom and Dad's house.
Yeah, well, you were telling me how to do it. I had, and to be fair, I gave like the basic, like background what I wanted, and then you just rolled with it. But I'm not completely inept. But Taylor, when we did the stats, you told me how to roll. I did it all, but you were like, "This is kind of what you want for a druid, a wood elf. I think I am druid."
Yeah.
Yep.
And dude, I freaking love him. I even have like the pyramid
It's great.
around his neck for like his focus, his arcane. Is that what it's called? Arcane focus?
Yeah, arcane focus, yeah.
And then when he shillelaghs, he pounds his quarterstaff on the ground and cherry blossoms shoot out of it. It's amazing.
Was Pegasus your first character?
No. Magus.
Dire Straits wasn't it?
No, Magus.
Magus. When I did that, when I started doing this on the Citadel with the three of you.
That's right. That was before I did the one shot. Yeah.
Magus was based off of Chrono Trigger's.
Yep.
Magus.
Wizard. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. He was awesome, but I only played him like twice. Dire Straits was a Dragonborn fighter, extremely basic, but super powerful, hilarious. And then I had that Eric Cochran that I played, the 28-year-old on the verge of death.
Verge of death.
Oh my god. It wasn't an Eric Cochran monk.
Sinewy old man.
That's right. And he talked like it, and he flew horribly because he was so old. But
it's super wobbly. I think that even the wobbliness of his flight is what dodged some attacks for you at one point.
Yeah. Or no, it dodged an invisible creature when we were not in battle. Because you had that crazy thing that we fought. But
like,
so if anyone watches this that understands, I successfully ran a false Hydra, and it was great.
It was really fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Also terrifying.
Also very terrifying.
To just look at a window and be like, "What?" and then it's gone because you forgot about it or whatever. That was really cool. And also we were playing it in the dark. Ish. I mean, it was nighttime, but it was still creepy.
I just wish that would have been the night that the bird flew into my window.
God, I would have crapped myself and hid under the table. Be like, take Taylor.
A bird flew into my window while I was meeting with my new manager at my new job the other day. And it scared the crap out of me, and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Okay. It was like that's a bad omen, right?
No, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. But I do, and I have to take this from you, and I'm sorry. I have the best bad omen story regarding a bird. I was driving into work, a couple of years ago, and I had just rolled my window up in my Caliber, and and all of a sudden, poof, and I just saw feathers, poof, like on the side right here on my driver's side window, and I was like, what the heck? And I look in the rearview mirror, and there's a crow just laying on the ground. I was like,
that's
a
it.
death omen. I am dead.
That is the beginning of so many horror movies.
Wait, oh my gosh. Corey, someone's playing Zoo Tycoon and they named you Alfred H. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
And we've come full circle.
Oh my gosh! First episode.
Yep.
Oh my gosh!
We've come.
Thanks for listening, folks. That's what we were looking to do. We had to make that last Zoo Tycoon reference. We're done. Bye.
Our Zoo Tycoon cast is over.
It's over.
Yeah. Our fan cast.
Now. Welcome to New Game Plus, a podcast where we talk about games and the culture surrounding them.
Yes,
eventually,
you've done it. Welcome, you made it.
This is like the length of the first Kingdom Hearts intro. Remember, you do all that stuff on the island, and then it's like Kingdom Hearts, and you're like, what? That was like 2 hours worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was
worse than that. This is the Divinity Original Sin tutorial island. That's what this is. That sucker's like 20 hours long.
And the only reason that I took so long in the first Kingdom Hearts, and this because I'm a grinder, was because I challenged the one guy with the balls so much, and I just kept deflecting them the whole time. So you get so many tech points or whatever, and you're like, and then you have like the not Ultima, but you have like Fire-Aga by the time you leave Destiny Islands. Like,
what was his name, Cody? Waka,
yeah.
Waka Flocka Flame.
All right, Cody, I will eat my hand if you can tell me the other two ones that you can challenge.
Oh no, he'll tell you. Hang on. Let me see if I can do it.
I asked.
Tifu, tofu, shitsushi, California roll, tempura. What's his name?
Spicy mayo.
So the guy with the staff is Titus.
Okay.
And then the girl is Selfie.
Click, click. Sorry, I had to.
Yeah. Eat your hand. Get it in there. Come on.
Yep. I don't see it. I don't see it traveling down your stomach yet.
It's made himself gag.
Yeah, that's what you get.
I've been
Choke on it.
drinking liquids. Oh, I
Challenge
almost hold
me
my
again.
goodness. Oh God! All right, when's the
Samesies.
last time I bet my eating my own hand? I guess.
Hang on while I binge some water.
All right, I need like a 5-minute
Slow
cooldown
down, Ross.
period. God, I just used my ultimate. I need to cool down after that one.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. So, anyway,
Final Fantasy
I like.
game, by the way.
What's that?
The
Those
game,
three.
yeah, they're from.
Final
Oh,
Fantasy.
okay. Gotcha. So, it was interesting that we brought up the idea of Hollywood influences on like nerd culture because
Speaking of, Terry Crews likes D&D. So anyway, continue.
you could tell me that Terry Crews likes to like ice fish or like likes to dog does underground dog fighting rings, and I'd be like, yeah. Like, he doesn't surprise me. Oh, I guess that makes him out to be a bad person. But, like, he couldn't really do anything that would surprise me. That man is like a
I
jack
really thought you were gonna say dog sled racing, which would have fit with his theme.
Man, that would have been so much better! Dang!
He's like, that's what I meant. I meant dog.
No, I
dog.
meant more
I almost said
violent.
dog food racing.
No, I gotta do 10 Hail Marys to Jenna. I mentioned that. Oh my gosh, if you want to cry yourself to sleep, go watch Kit Bull. I think it's that Pixar short where the pit bull is like tortured and the kit comes and befriends him. Yeah, watch that at U of M once while I was working. Like I was passing time and I just started sobbing at work.
Did you say a Pixar short where a pit bull is tortured?
I'm sorry, did you not see the Pixar short where the woman like makes a dumpling or something that becomes a living child and then she eats it? Pixar is metal, dude. Like they don't care.
Not to mention, like one of the earliest ones is a guy playing chess who's clearly got dementia or something because he's playing against his
Stop.
other personality.
Oh my gosh! But again,
Like the
okay,
Pixar shorts, man.
it's the same like that silly childlike innocence where like the only reason that like I remember that short was because it was right before you watched Bug's Life.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, and so like,
Yeah.
so like I'm like, oh, this old man. I like the sounds that the chess pieces make when he clicks them. Like, you know, but I'm a kid because I'm so my focus is not on this elderly man with an extreme case of dementia playing chess with himself. And like people play chess with themselves. Like, don't come at me and be like, Taylor, people play chess with themselves. It betters their skill. I think this man actually thought that he was playing chess with somebody else. All right, so calm
It
down.
progressively got worse because at first he was just like, I remember watching it. It took him like 30 seconds to get from one side to the other, and I was like, old people are the worst. And now then it just like got a little faster, and it's like, oh, he's making faces at himself. Oh, okay, I do that too.
And he took his glasses off when he was on one side and put his glasses back on when he was on the other side because he was depicting different personas within himself. So I don't know if it was dementia as much as it was like a form of psychosis or something.
Multiple personality
Welcome to New Game
disorder.
Plus, where we
Oh.
explore the depths of the human mind.
Oh my god.
Calamity within.
Oh god, and then you watch A Bug's Life and that leaf falls in front of the ant lion. He's like, where's the line?
This is nothing compared to the twig of 79.
No, it's the twig of 93 because it was the twig of the year I was born.
Oh, you're so
Oh
young.
my.
Don't ever lose your innocence, Taylor.
I'll be 30. I turned 29 yesterday. I'll be 30 next year. You got nothing, man.
I acknowledged your birthday yesterday. You get no more.
Mm-hmm.
It was your birthday.
Just the banner.
Period.
It's your birthday.
Period.
Last
Declarative
time we
statement.
did this, we got into a 20-minute diatribe while at the office. Not doing that again.
Yeah,
Yeah, then Corey proceeded to cut all of it.
that's
You know
right.
what problems I have with Corey with The Office? Let me tell you about it for 22 minutes. No, I'm kidding.
Hey man, I'll listen, but you'll never hear it again.
All right. Hey, excellent segue. Circling back to the effects of Hollywood on nerd culture, a show that we've been pestering Corey about, but he hasn't watched yet. Arcane. Okay. Now, this is a show that for most people came out of nowhere and sat on like the #1 watch spot of Netflix for like 2 weeks. Or no, I think it was the entirety of the show. 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
In 60 different countries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
See,
I'm not
there's
up
powder.
there. Oh, Thresh isn't even in this one, so. But like.
But we're talking about, okay, Netflix is huge, right? There are so many millions of people that are
Stranger
on Netflix
Things
that
is on
watch
Netflix.
Oh,
Okay.
congratulations! You know things.
So you're talking about a show for a game that probably most of the people on Netflix have never heard of, and a show
I
that
don't
took that
know.
one spot. You know, you'd be probably surprised at how many people don't know what League of Legends is. But
Yeah.
I digress. All of those people saw Arcane when they flipped on Netflix every day for about a month. How many people do you think watched this animated show based on a video game that would have never
Cross their
played
path.
a game or watched any other animated show because wow, it's been #1 for this long. Maybe I should check it out, and then you
Yes.
watch it, and it's phenomenal.
I
the way.
And I haven't
Great
seen it.
show.
Hi, I'm your
And,
co-host. I'm looking at my microphone. I'm your co-host of a nerd podcast in which I haven't seen most nerd things, but I love them. I do. I have Jinxie Bay down there. As a matter of fact, those little presets you can do for like your in League, I don't even know what they're called, guys.
The
I'm
runes,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah,
Rune
like
pages?
the preset.
Yeah.
Cody, the thing that you constantly have to read to me which ones I need before every ARAM. Yeah, one of my
page.
presets is just called Jinxie Bay.
Jinxie Bay.
It doesn't
And yet-
represent Jinx anymore because I had to change it for an ARAM, but
Oh my gosh. I have
Yeah,
a
he had, and yet he won't watch the show of which Jinxie Bay is one of the main, if not the main character.
it's
Yeah.
it's not that I won't. It's that I
Yeah.
haven't yet.
yeah. That's
I
true.
am slow, and I am lazy.
Corey, on the topic of League rune pages, I have a rune page that's titled Syndra. And the other day it was Conqueror. So I don't do this. I also don't really. It doesn't pertain to the way
I know
it's
what this
labeled.
means. That's hilarious to me in context.
I have a rune page that is I think it's still called Vel'Koz. I don't know because it was for Vel'Koz, but the one that I use is just called Change because I change it every match.
I think my other one is called Vigar.
Nice.
So
Nice.
Solid.
yeah.
Solid, very solid. He's back in the
Vigar's
meta.
fun. It used to
Yeah.
be. It used to be called Oriana.
I will
show
you now, Massey.
It used to be called Oriana, but I really suck with her as much as I like her. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Shit happens, man.
Why do they keep breaking? I love it.
No. So
Game is
And I-
messed up.
And I've got the Sown Chaos skin, which is the best skin of any champ in the
terrifying.
entire game.
It's so-
I absolutely love it.
that's
All
that's a
right.
good one.
So I will say Zone Chaos is probably the best Oriana skin, and it's relatively terrifying, especially when you throw out like a yarn, like a ball of yarn with needles coming out of it. Like, yeah, it's pretty messed up. But until you're just spamming the cowbell with Mukau Alistar, I don't think you totally understand. Or Surprise Party Fiddlesticks. I mean, do you
It
want?
is.
Let's do a whole episode about Surprise Party Fiddlesticks skin because
Oh, you know what? That is a good one.
I can break down each skill, pre-rework, post-rework, why it's awesome. If you're in lane and all of a sudden Fiddlesticks just ults you, but it's balloon animals, party horns, and, like, you die, but, like, you smile a little bit. Like, I mean, come on. I mean, come on. Oh,
They did a
amazing.
good job with the rework Surprise Party Fiddlesticks of making him equal parts funny and creepy.
They did one thing wrong. They did one thing wrong. So when you fear somebody, as anyone in the game, Nocturne, Fiddlesticks, whatever, there's like there's a little like face up, like a little face that appears above them, and like
Yeah.
a little like shadowy like maniacal face. So back when Fiddlesticks was rework when he would fear somebody as Surprise Party Fiddlesticks, that face would have a like a party streamer in his mouth and a hat on him. So and they took
They took it out?
it away. They took it
Why?
out. because they don't get it. Riot doesn't get it, okay? They don't love their people. They just want to, I don't know, maybe they just love to cause chaos. I don't know, but they took it away from me.
Okay.
I mean, they are called Riot.
Fair. To bring this full circle, like we keep saying, and we're going to use that verbiage every time because it's obnoxious how much we say it. Yeah, I don't care. But anyway, you said Moo Cow Alistair, right?
What is this segue?
No.
This is gonna be great.
It's a good one.
I'm so excited.
What about the D&D God Cow that we played with? Holy Cow or something like that? What? The Minotaur?
Cow, yeah.
The Holy Cow, who's the cleric? It was Andy's character in the one shot when you were the swoopy boy.
Yep.
A Minotaur
That was good.
cleric that they all called Holy Cow.
Yeah. That was one of the greatest things that's ever happened, I think. It was really good.
He really wants to bring that one back too. It's funny.
Yeah.
I would want him to bring that one back too.
And it fits
so
perfectly because like I didn't talk and he doesn't talk really, so it was really good.
No. But he would do this thing. He would like whenever like if I was gonna make a roll for whatever reason, like okay, Cody, like okay, roll for this. He'd look at me and he'd go, guidance.
Yeah.
Like just whisper guidance, give you a slight nod, and I'd be like, all right, grab that D4, let's go. Like it was always and like usually Cody was like, we can assume guidance is a thing like that. He's always gonna use guidance, right? But still, like without fail, like I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna roll my investigation check, and he'd look at me, he'd go, guidance.
Andy's my favorite.
I would play with him any day.
I love him because he's so quiet and he barely talks. But when he does, it's always just like the most exquisitely timed, like
perfectly crafted line. Yeah,
and it matters. And like his characters, like he's able to convey way more feeling into his characters than he actually shows in real life, and I don't understand it.
It's magic. It's magic.
I think he might be
because he's a cleric. Get it? It's magic. White magic, to be specific, nerd.
Yeah.
Divine favor, bruh.
I'm going Final Fantasy 1, bruh.
Yeah,
I will say that. And Final Fantasy Tactics. I will say that the quick comment, the Hollywood influence on nerd culture and everything. I achieved like what all of the late '90s, early 2000s movies were trying to portray. I DM'd for a guy he's this just like giant buff guy. Like he like tears out of his own shirts even though he's trying to build by sizes up. Like, and then like to see a tree trunk armed man go up and go, that's bullcrap. I want to roll insight check. Like that's what you strive for.
And then you just go, as a nerd, like, yes, sir. No problem,
absolutely. Sir. Absolutely. Here, check my notes to see that you know that I'm not lying about what I'm going to tell you, right?
Please don't twist my head off like a pop can.
Don't. And then he that same guy brought a lunch bag to our D&D session because, and I quote, I need to make sure I eat enough, and I wasn't sure you had enough food for me. And then he like, pulls out at 2 different points in the session, he pulls out like a meal and just like just scarfs it down. And I'm like,
I would leave the room.
Chips. Hey, he's like, there's some chips on the table, but he has like a whole like taco salad, like just a bunch of beef, and just like.
I absolutely would leave the room.
He's that's Dakota. Shout out Dakota. He's a joy to play with.
And that's like that whole imagery where you talk about with like just big boogeyman. I know that you're talking IRL, but like even in game, the fact that you can take somebody like that and they actually suggest that when they go for a persuasion roll to change it to intimidation just because of the stature, the manner of these players.
When someone like that,
I want to persuade. Why don't you roll intimidation?
Yeah, and then you're like, why don't you roll intimidation? And then like as a DM, you're like, oh, DZ just went from a 15 to a 12 because I'm scared. And then they roll an 11, and you're like, okay, it was a 10. Like it was like you just get scared. And you're like, I'm so sorry. That's not. I want to clear up. That's not how Dakota is. He's a big teddy bear. But like still, like someone with that big of a stature getting like angry, you're like, oh, sorry, man. I'm so sorry. What do you want from me?
Look, you're not a DM unless you've rolled a nat 20 and be like, he rolled a 4.
He rolled a 4. Yes, and then, oh my gosh. I do, that's why you get a lot of big rolls I roll in front of the table so everyone can see.
Yeah, I don't.
So does Cody.
I think I've fudged like one roll and that was because they were already in such a predicament. I didn't want a dice roll to end the game. I didn't want a dice roll to ruin the game.
You didn't want the game to be played, right? That's what you're saying?
No,
You didn't want the game to end.
I didn't want the game to end on random chance. And then I didn't want to have to be like, here's this guy that was randomly here and happens to have, 3 Revivify spell slots. Hey. Like I think that as a DM, a lot of DMs, and we know one, they treat it as it's DM versus players. And I think that it's players versus world, and I'm just here to tell you what stuff looks like when you do things.
To facilitate us interacting with the world.
Yeah, that's all it is. Like I am the intermediary. That's all I am. I'm not trying to actively kill anyone. I'm not trying to do this. If you guys bite off more than you can chew, you might die. But
DM versus, I will say DM versus player does come into play when you are in combat. Because, certain combats. Because as a DM, you have to remind yourself, like, they're in combat for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
Like, these enemies are trying to, like, incapacitate or kill these players. Like, and that becomes thing, and like and that kind of ties into like how I'm like my play style, like, or my DM style. So when my friend's character died.
Thank you.
My friend, she's still very much alive. I'm actually gonna text her real quick. No, when her character died, like, I was like, okay, this battle is fair. They weren't supposed to fight this monster. It was a monster one. I won't go into it, but they said there was a way they could have avoided this monster, and they didn't. They just kind of made some poor choices that led to them fighting this monster. This monster killed, and so her character died. She was an elephant, and she died. And then, like, and so I'm like, this monster might kill them because she was their healer. Like, this could be it. So, like, I was like, okay, I'm going to be straight with you guys. This monster has the ability to heal 100 health once per day. And I was going to just nix that. But, like, I love this game too much. And like, I can't, like, disrespect, like, the difficulty of this monster that you're fighting. So I would roll in front of them and be like, I'm going to roll 1 through 9. This character is going to use his ability, and you're all probably going to die because you guys were doing less than 100 health per turn by a large margin. And, like, luckily, like, Dice Christ was smiling because we would roll it and it would be like a 6 or a 7. But, like, if it had been a 10 or above, like, that monster would have held 100 health and, like, they would have died. Like, it was so... But, like, the whole time, I'm like, I can't make them think that I'm going to want to kill them intentionally by rolling this dice behind my screen, because then they're going to think I don't like this game or something. I don't know. Like...
You care way too much.
It was emotional. That was a lot, man.
So you can say that you think that that's DM versus player. I still think that that's facilitating the world, because they made their choice. They went and encountered this thing, and you're playing the monster as the monster would be. All right. So I have a good example of that too. They were in a town, and they were fighting. They were fighting against this group that was kind of trying to create an uprising as part of a bigger plot, but. They were in this fight against, like, basically another party, and Corey went down, and the cleric went over to cure wounds or whatever, and the enemy magician saw it happening and counterspelled it, because that's what they would do. They're like, okay, one of them's down, we need to keep him down, counterspell that heal, and that's what happened, and Corey stayed down.
It's true. It happened.
Corey could have died.
Because they did not want the druid up.
Because I'm a baller druid.
Druids are incredibly obnoxious.
Yeah, they are. You know how many times I've used Firewall, much to Cody's chagrin, and I'm a god with it.
It is the dichotomy that afflicts all DMs, because I hate it, but I love it so much.
Yeah. If I wasn't trying to like make a cool story, like, I would love this, but I don't.
No. I'm like, why are you the way that you are? That was so cool.
Because contrary to what I said before, I am creative in certain instances.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. I am freshly clean from the shower. Nice. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys next week.